Good morning, students. Welcome back to social online class. Are you fine, students? I hope you all are fine and safe by the grace of God. Students, now we are learning economics part. Is it? From economics part, which lesson now we are learning? Have you remember, students? Very good. Now we are learning economics lesson 1, cross domestic products and its growth. Is it? From here, in the first class, I explained about the introduction and the definition of GDP. Is it? Then, in the previous class, we discussed about national income and various terms associated with measuring of national income. Is it, students? In the beginning of this class, we can recollect few important points about previous class portion. Okay. First of all, we learned about the definition of national income. Is it? It is one of the important 2 mark question. Have you remember, students, what is the definition of national income? Very good. National income is a measure of the total value of goods and services produced by an economy over a period of time. Is it? Then, national income is otherwise called excellent cross national product or national dividend. Is it? Then, next we learned about various terms associated with measuring of national income. Is it? How many terms associated with measuring of national income? Very good. 7 terms were associated with measuring of national income. Is it? What are the 7 terms associated with measuring of national income? Very good. Cross national product, cross domestic product, net national product, net domestic product, per capita income, personal income, and disposable income. Is it? These are the 7 terms associated with measuring of national income. This is one of the important 5 mark question. Is it, students? Just we can recollect in this 5 mark question. The first term is gross national product, is it? Gross national product. What is gross national product? Gross national product is the total value of goods and services produced and income received in a year by domestic resident of a country. Okay. Then the second one is the cross domestic product. Is it? Second one is the cross domestic product. What is the definition of cross domestic product? Excellent. Gross domestic product is the total value of output of goods and services produced by the factors of production within a geographical boundaries of the country. That means within the country. Okay. Then third one is the net national product. Is it? Third one is the net national product. Net national product is arrived by taking some adjustment with regard to depreciation, that is we arrive the net national product by deducting the value of depreciation from gross national product. Okay. Then the fourth we learned about net domestic product. Is a net domestic product. It is a part of gross domestic product. This net domestic product is obtained from the gross domestic product by deducting the quantum of tear and wear expenses. Okay. Then the next one is the per capita income. Next one is the per capita income. Per capita income, that is one of the output per person, gives an indicator to show the living standard of people in a country. That means how to obtain to the per capita income. Per capita income is equal to national income divided by population. Okay, per capita income is equal to national income divided by population. Okay. Then the sixth important terms is personal income. Personal income, that means personal income. It is the total money income received by individuals. The total income received by individuals of a country from all possible sources before direct taxes. Okay. Then the last important terms associated with measuring of national income is the disposable income. Disposable income means actual income which can be spent on consumption by individuals and families. Thus, it can be expressed as DPI is equal to PT minus direct taxes. Okay, these are the terms associated with the measuring of national income. These are the terms associated with the measuring of national income. Okay, these all things we learned in the previous class, is it? And also I gave some question answers, is it, students? For short answers I gave one detail from this portion. Four short answers and one detail is coming, is it? I gave four short answers and one detail. I hope you learned that question answers, students. You have to learn, write in a rough note and correct it. Okay, those who are learn and write students, many, I hope many of them you learned and write. Those who did not learn, you have to learn. Okay, okay, students. Now let us come forward to today's class. Okay, now let us come forward to today's class. Okay, today I am going to teach cross domestic product. Today I am going to teach gross domestic product. Okay, GDP. The abbreviation of GDP is gross domestic product. Okay. Now, in the previous class, we learned about the definition of gross domestic product. Is it? Can you say the definition of gross domestic product, students? Excellent. Gross domestic product is the total value of output of goods and services. Okay. How much produced in a particular period of time in a country. Okay. How much production they are producing in a particular time of period in a country. That is gross domestic product. Okay. Then listen here, students. Gross domestic product, that means two parts are there. The first one is product in the country and second one is produced during the time of period. Okay, that means produced in a country and time, during the time. Okay, first is produced in the country. Gross domestic product is the production in a country. Okay, listen here. GDP of India includes only the market value of goods and services produced in India. Gross domestic product, that means GDP of India includes only the market value of goods and services produced in India. For example, the market value of apple produced in Kashmir are included in our GDP. Okay, because since Kashmir is in India, is it? Listen very careful, students. The example is the market value of apple produced in Kashmir are included in India's GDP. Why Kashmir's apples productions value are including in India's GDP? Because Kashmir is in India. Is it? Since Kashmir is in India. Okay. In the same time, the market value of apple produced in California, even if they are sold in Indian markets, are not included in our GDP. Listen very careful, students. The market value of apple produced in Kashmir is included in Indian GDP, but in the same time, the apple produced in California, the same apple was sold in Indian markets. That particular market value are not included in our GDP. Why they are not including California's market value in our GDP? Very good, because California is in US, is it? California is in US. So, California's market value is not included in Indian GDP. That California's productions are selling in Indian market, but that particular market productions market value is going to California's GDP. It won't add in Indian GDP. Okay. Then secondly, produced during a time of period. Secondly, produced during a time of period. Secondly, produced during a time of period. Okay, that means the GDP of a country measures the market value of goods and services produced only during the specified time of period. Listen very careful, students. The GDP of a country measures the market value of goods and services produced only during the specified period of time. That means the goods and services produced earlier periods are not included in this particular year's GDP. Okay, for example, 2018's GDP is included, market value is included in the 2018 GDP. Okay, the 2019, they won't include 2018 GDP in 2017 GDP, sorry, 2019 GDP. Okay, so the particular production of 2017 will not be included in the GDP measures of 2018. That means particular year production is added in that particular year's GDP. The previous year's production won't added the next year's GDP. Okay, can you understand, students? And also, this particular GDP is measured in a particular period of time. That means that is year wise or quarterly, annually or quarterly. Annually means 1 year, quarterly means 3 months once they are measuring. Okay, for example, the final year, that means the 1 year, how they are measuring annual GDP means April 1st of 2017 to March 31st of 2018 is written 2017 to 18 GDP. Okay, can you understand, students? 2000, listen very careful. 2017 April 1st to 2018 March 31st itself, productions market value is added 2017 to 18 GDP. Okay, the same wise, the quarterly GDP estimate for each 4 quarters into India's financial year is divided. That means the first quarter is denoted April, May, and June. Okay, the first quarter is denoted April, May, and June, and the second quarter is denoted July, August, September. The second quarter is denoted July, August, and September. The third quarter is denoted October, November, and December. And the fourth quarter is denoted January, February, March. Anyway, annually measuring means April to next year March, and the quarterly they are measuring means April, May, June, the first quarter. The second quarter is July, August, September. Third quarter is October, November, December. Fourth quarter is January, February, March. Likewise, they are measuring the GDP. That means the annual GDP for financial year 2017 to 18 is include only the goods and services produced during this financial year and will exclude the goods and services produced in the previous year. Okay, likewise, the GDP for quarterly 2 will include only the goods and services produced in quarterly 2. It will not include the goods and services produced in quarterly 1 or 3. Okay, can you understand, students? Then the next cross domestic product definition you learned. Is it cross domestic product definition you learned? Gross domestic product represents the economic health of a country. Is it? Gross domestic product represents the economic health. That means the production, how much during a particular period of time, 1 year or quarterly period, how much production they are producing. That particular production which consists of all purchases of goods and services used by individuals, firms, foreigners, governing bodies, etc. Okay, the monetary value of all the finished goods and services produced within a country border in a specific time period. Okay, the monetary value of all the finished goods and services were produced in a country's border in a specific time of period. Okay, anyway, that particular specific time of period, how much they are producing, that market value only added in that particular year. How they are adding that particular years the for a time of period means annual. Annual means April 1st to the next year March 31st is 1 year they are calculated, or quarterly. Quarterly means in the month of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Likewise, they are calculating and measuring the national income. That means the GDP, gross domestic product. Okay. Can you understand, students? Then the modern concept of GDP was developed by Simon Kuznets for a US Congress report in 1934. Modern concept of GDP. First, who developed? Simon Kuznets. Simon Kuznets in the Congress report. He gave the report in the that is the Congress Party gave the report in US in the year 1934. Okay. Can you understand, students? Then the next topic is the methods of GDP calculating. Next topic is the methods of GDP calculating. Listen very careful, students. This is one of the 5 mark question. Okay, important. From here, all the questions are very, very important. You have to learn all the question because in the first lesson, from first lesson, 1 2 mark, one word, and 5 mark. Compulsory these questions will come. Okay, so this lesson is very, very important. So that I am teaching again. Okay, once in the previous sorry, in the school itself most of the classes they taught, but very, very important lesson. So some students asked me to teach once again. So because of that I am teaching students very careful. A very, very important lesson. Many questions will ask in the public exam. Okay, then this question also one of the 5 mark question, very, very important question. So you listen very careful. Listen, students, this is the topic is methods of GDP calculating. Okay, methods are how which are the methods they are using to calculate the GDP. Okay, there are 3 methods are using to calculating GDP. The first one is expenditure approach. Expenditure approach or expenditure method. Second one is income approach or income method. Third one is value added approach or value added method. Okay, through 3 methods the GDP is calculating. Okay, how many methods are calculating using to calculate GDP, students? 3. Okay, listen very careful. 3 methods are using to calculating GDP. Expenditure method, income method, value added method. Okay. The first one is the expenditure approach. Expenditure approach. Okay. In this method, expenditure approach or this expenditure method. In this method, the GDP is measured by adding the expenditure in all the final goods and services produced in the country during a specified period. Listen very careful, students. Expenditure method means the GDP is measured by adding the expenditure. How much value are expending? We are expending how much value? Okay, on all the final goods and services produced in the country during a particular period of time. Okay, how much we are expending during a particular period of time in a country people. Okay, that is method expenditure method. The different types of expenditure are shown in this equation. That means y is equal to c plus I plus g plus xm. Listen very careful, students. The expenditure are shown y, that means y is equal to c plus I plus g plus xm. C means what? Consumption, is it? I means investment. G means government expenditure. Is it? X1 means export and import. Okay. Then second method is the income approach. The second method is the income approach. Okay. This method looks at GDP from the perspective of the earnings of the men and women who are involved in producing the goods and services. That means the men and women, how much they are earning through their production. That means through the goods and services, the men and women, how much they are earning. That is called the income method. How much income we are getting through production. That means goods and services. Through goods and services, how much income one man or women getting. That is income method. Okay, that means the income approach to measuring GDP is Y is equal to wages plus rent plus interest plus profit. Wages, rent, interest, profit. Okay, these all are including in the income approach. Then the third one is the value added approach. Third one is the value added approach. Value added approach, that means how much value they are taking. That means final goods value. For example, a cup of tea served to you in a hotel is a final good. Okay, a cup of tea served. Suppose we are going to hotel and we are buying a tea. A cup of tea served to you in a hotel is a final good. The good used, these goods used to produce it, tea powder, milk, sugar, etc. Is it? These all things are intermediate goods. Sugar, already in the previous class I explained, is it? Tea is the final good. To make tea means some of the intermediate goods also need, is it? What are the intermediate goods are need? Tea powder, milk, sugar, etc. Is it? Since they form a part of the final good, the cup of tea, one way to measure the market value of the cup of tea is to add the value produced by each intermediate goods used to produce it. Okay, each intermediate goods, the tea powder, milk, and sugar, adds the value to the final output. Okay, final output. The cup of tea, that means in a cup of tea, the tea powder, sugar, milk, these everything they are adding in the final outputs. Okay. In the value added approach, the value added by each intermediate good is summed to estimate the value of the final good. Can you understand, students? The value added approach, the value added by each intermediate good is summed to estimate the value of the final good. Okay, the sum of the value added by all the intermediate goods used in production gives us the total value of the final goods produced in the economy. The sum of the value added by all the intermediate goods used in production gives us the total value of the goods and final goods produced in the country. Okay, can you understand, students? Value added approach means the sum of the value added by all the intermediate goods used in production gives us the total value of the final goods produced in the country. Can you understand? Then the next one is the importance of GDP. Okay, students, the importance of GDP. Next I will teach. Now, this much time I taught some topic, is it? Can you understand, students, that topics? Shall we recall the points? Students, now we learned about gross domestic product and methods of GDP calculating. Is it gross domestic product? That means two ways they are measuring product in the country and product produced during a time of period. Is it produced in a country? That means GDP of India includes only the market value of goods and service produced in India. Is it? That is GDP in India includes only the market value. Through the market value, how much production we are getting, that value only added in the GDP. That is GDP, gross domestic product. Is it? For example, I told, is it the market value of apple produced in Kashmir is included in Indian GDP. Why Kashmir's market value is included in Indian GDP? Because Kashmir is in India. Is it? In the same time, the California's apple productions are sold in the Indian market, but that particular market value is not included in the Indian GDP. Is it? Why they are not including that market value in Indian GDP? Because California is in US. Is it? So that market value not added in Indian GDP. Okay. Then produced during a time of period. That means the GDP of a country measures the market value of goods and services produced only during the specified time period. That means the GDP of a country measures how they are measuring the GDP in a particular period of time in a particular country, how much they are producing through the goods and services, that is added in the GDP. Okay, the goods and services produced in previous years market value is not added in present year's GDP. That means 2018's GDP market value is not added to 2019's market value. In the same time, 2017's market value is will not included in the GDP measure for 2018. Okay, the particular years. Then how they are measuring the GDP in India is annually and quarterly. In two types they are measuring the GDP, annually and quarterly. Okay, that means annually means April 1st to next year March 31st. That means April 1st 2017 to March 31st 2018 is written as 2017 to 18 GDP. Okay, then how they are added the quarterly GDP estimate for 4 quarters. That means 3 months once. Okay, the first quarter denoted in the year, in the month April, May, June. Is it? Then second quarter is July, August, September. Third quarter is denoted by October, November, December. Then the fourth quarter is denoted by January, February, March. Okay. Can you understand, students? The previous years, that means the annual GDP for financial year 2017-18 will include only the goods and service produced during these financial years, and it will exclude the goods and service produced in the previous years. Okay, likewise, GDP for quarter 2 will include only goods and service produced in quarter 2. It will not include the goods and service produced in quarter 1. Okay, then next we learned about the gross domestic product definition. Is it gross domestic product represents the economic health of country. That means it represents the sum of a country's production, which consists of all purchases of goods and service used by individuals, firms, foreigners and governing bodies. Okay, then finally we learned about methods of GDP. Is it? Finally we learned about methods of GDP. How many methods are calculating GDP, students? How many methods are using to calculating GDP? Very good. 3 methods are using to calculating GDP. Is it? What are the 3 methods of GDP calculating? Very good. Expenditure method, income method, value added method, or expenditure approach, the income approach, or the value added approach. Okay. First, this is one of the 5 mark question. Important question is it, students. The first method is the expenditure approach. Is it? In this method, the GDP is measured by adding the expenditure on all the final goods and services produced in the country during a specified period. Listen very careful, students. Expenditure method, expenditure approach or expenditure method is the GDP measured by adding the expenditure. That means one final goods and service produced in a country during a specific period of time, how much value are expending. That is expenditure method. Then secondly, the income method. Secondly, the income approach or income method. This method looks at GDP from the perspective of the earning of men and women who are involved in producing the goods and services. Listen very careful, students. Income approach in our income method means how much income one particular period of time in a particular countries men and women how much they are earning through the goods and services. That is calculated the income approach or income method. Then the third one is the value added approach. Is it? Third one is the value added approach. That means value added approach is the sum of the value added by all the intermediate goods used in production gives us the total value of the final goods produced in the country. Value added approach means the sum of the value added by all the intermediate goods used in production gives us the total value of goods and final goods produced in the country. For example, also I told this a cup of tea served in a hotel, the cup of tea is the final goods. Is it? Cup of tea is a final goods. Some of the intermediate goods also used to prepare the tea. For example, they are using sugar, milk, tea powder. Like some of the intermediate goods are they using to preparing tea, but the tea is the final goods. Okay, the tea is the final goods. That final goods value only added in the GDP. The intermediate goods value is not added in the GDP. Okay, these are the methods of GDP calculating. Okay, can you understand, students? Next, the importance of GDP to the next class I will teach. Okay, students, the continuation of this lesson I will teach the next class. Okay, now students, all are take your social book. Students, all are take your social book. Now, turn the exercise pages. Students, turn the exercise pages. Page number 302. Okay, page number 302. Define national income. Already I gave. What is mean by gross domestic product? Previous class I gave. Is it? Then write the importance of gross domestic product. Importance of gross domestic product. That question I told you to refer the guide, but students, the guide that particular question the next class I will teach. Okay, in the book also that answer given or the guide also you can refer, but that portion the next class I will teach. Okay, third question the next class I will teach. Then fourth question, what is per capita income, also I mark and gave in the book. Is it? Then today you have to mark fifth question. Today you have to mark fifth question. Define the value added approach with example. Define the value added approach with example. Okay, value added approach with example. That answer is page number 294 and 295. Page number 294 and 295. From there, value added approach heading, last heading, that page last heading, value added approach heading, value added approach heading, that para, a cup of tea served to you in a hotel is a final good. The goods used to produce it, tea powder, milk and sugar are intermediate goods. Since they form a part of the final good, a cup of tea. From there to that para fully. Okay, that para fully in the next page. Tea powder plus milk plus sugar is equal to tea. Okay, value of intermediate goods equal to value of final goods. Up to there you have to mark. Okay, then the sixth question to the next class I will mark and give. Then Roman number 6. Okay, then Roman number 6, detail question. Okay, detail question. First question already I gave. First question, various terms associated with measuring of national income, already I gave. The second question, what are the methods of calculating gross domestic product and explain it. Okay, what are the methods of calculating gross domestic product and explain it. That answer is page number 294. Page number 294. Methods of GDP calculating heading. Page number 294. Methods of GDP calculating. Methods of GDP calculating. Three methods are given. Is it expenditure approach fully, the income approach fully, value added approach fully? Okay, that fully you have to mark. Methods of GDP calculating heading, expenditure approach fully, income approach fully, value added approach fully you have to mark. Okay. Okay, students, the continuation of this lesson I will teach the next class. Day to day portion you have to learn well. Okay, the home test you have to prepare the home test in this lesson, not have in the home test, but day to day portion you have to prepare well. Okay, students, we will meet the next class. Thank you.